Okay, we have the U.S. session open. We had a little bit of a W pattern right in here and lift. So I nibbled into some position size, very light. We're sitting over 304,000. I have two up here. I have two a little bit higher, just in case we get a big push. So, sometimes buyers come in strong out of the open. Anything above the 411s and the upper band, any push in there, I'll be ready to blip out finals. We'll call that good there. Sitting good. Not going for like $1,000 on this trade. I was actually suspect this might cycle a bit in this area. And you can see we were right above, just above, right into support from yesterday's pullback low, where we had that level sweep and then institutionals came in. So this looks like a little bit of a grind down to that level on purpose so they can get in out of the open and be a buyer. I'm a little late on the film, doing some admin, put out a new file update to the Quant Tower group. The programmer added some improvements for the use of the dual bands as connected to the Algo Studio Pro application. Okay, we're pushing the upper band area. I'll blip out one there. I'm only in one runner. And let's go ahead and put a target kind of right before this little drop off happened, just in case we get a push. But, decent little trade. I didn't trade a lot of position size just because this thing could have just traded lower. We are outside the bands. I get a reversal candle. I would just blip out the trade. See if we can get to 304, near 304,500-ish. Let's move that up a bit. And we'll get very close. Put that down just a smidgen, but if we get a reversal candle, I'll hit the flatten button and call this trade good. I'd rather be a seller today if we go up and press levels. Now, we did have a pretty big sell-off, considering where we were in the overnight session to where we were now. We blew up the whole rally from end of day yesterday. Okay, so we're sitting, we did a little over, or right around 500-ish on that trade with very light position size. I think I got in with only 6 MNQs. We lifted a bit, passed the midband, took some off, and then scaled out the rest. So the trade location, I'll give this a B. I won't give it an A plus. An A plus would have been if we would have come down and actually tested the level or swept it, and then I got to set up. But we did have a sweep of this key pivot, and now I wouldn't have faulted somebody actually after that level sweep of that pivot going long here. I was a little bit busy at the time, so I was watching this area. So we had the level sweep, and right in here, we had decent lift. Let's just look at this overall. And especially if you got in on the lift, because we did now finally have a triangle higher. Remember, I talked about that in yesterday's videos. So triangle, lower triangle, higher triangle. A little bit of a W pattern in here on a very micro scale. I could see somebody nibbling in here a bit. You're in, then you get confirmation of the cross signal. But and I've covered this in some videos, if I'm long, and especially leading right up to the market open, to me is garbage period unless there's news. I just don't like to get into trades in that half hour leading up to the market open. Now, I will say here, waiting, up to the period of the market open, we have a very nice W pattern leading right up. We did get the cross signal. And so, then, 8:30 U.S. Central Time, pullback lift. If you didn't get in there, you could have got in the higher pivot low. You would have still been below the mid band of the main bands. And then institutionals have come in, and I'm sure hedge funds are in there too doing some buying. Let's go back and review this a bit. And there you go. Nice, pretty push. Yeah, but this area is right, 7:30 in that hour. Now, if there's a news release at 7:30 Chicago Globex time, US Central time, I'd be more likely to work a trade there. But here's the important thing. If you get in a trade right away, watch how the fast bands rotated. So they rotated. So let's say you've gotten the higher triangle, you've worked in a little bit of liquidity, you get some lift, and then you get the fast bands to rotate. So price is back in this area. I would just bail on that baby. I would get out of there because that lower support level is almost like a magnet, like it's going to suck price down. Now it did, it pulled price down, but buyers stepped in just above that recent support from yesterday and put in a decent price pattern, which I do cover. I shot a video and posted up early this morning where I talk about levels, and how we train for that in the Grid Algo program. And I also covered, there's some videos in our price action training room on patterns. I look for W patterns on lows and M patterns on highs. Or I shouldn't say lows, I should say more on pullbacks to key areas of support and resistance. Now, I was cognizant of the fact that this level from yesterday might act like a magnet where we might need to, out of the open, test that. But these pushes and that last push was very, there was a lot of buying actually in here. So, and you can see there's a lot of lift candles in here. But then seeing the W pattern lift, then, and, right there near the open, now to me it's time to engage. I like the setup. So I was prepared to buy lower and work a dynamic trade with very light position size because I got in light. So even with adding a few, working this area to see if this support would hold, even if a sweep and then a lift, I wouldn't even be anywhere near a full clip on my typical position size. Now getting up here and rotating and looking for a short setup, even though it's in the middle of the current range. So I'll take this line out of here. This line I'll move down. So that's now a new created level of support, and it was created, near the market opening hours when the volume picks up. So that means a lot to me. Levels created in the after hours session mean less to me than levels created during US cash session hours. So any lift back into this range and a rotation, I would say it'd be about a B setup. Seeing if this will come all the way up and do a test or sweep at some point today. You could have A plus setup on a rotation, short side rotation. But I'd be willing to engage this with some light position size if we get a rotation and a short setup on our first lift out of the, US Open after a pretty big sell-off overnight pre-market. And so we'll see what we get. We're in the middle of the range. I'm not really following tariff news. I don't know what's been announced or released. I'll have to go catch up on that. But at some point today, when I get a setup that I like, maybe we get lift and we get a little M pattern rollover, I'll get in, I'll go get my other $500, get me to 305,000 on the day so that I can basically earn 1,000 plus during the US cash session. I already made 1,000 in the overnight. So I'm going to try to end the day at 305s, right around 305s. So there you have it. When I see something good, I'll get back in and film. I do have to jump on some Zoom calls this morning with programmers on a few items. Got tick blaze build in progress and some other stuff in play. And we just recently took all the same tools we have here in Quant Tower and added them to NT8 side. Recent updates. So I've been busy with programmers. So there you have it. A little touch base, a little trade action this morning, and I'll put up some more. And I have a really, really, really important video I'm going to put up later on a new program that I'm going to start for in-person dual bands, a very specific setup that I thought I could get to work, and I did get it to work, that I'm going to start teaching, but I only want to teach it in person. I don't want the setup to go out to a high number of traders because it's something that I'm using myself, and I can put out variations of it, but I want to use it in conjunction. I'll be using it in conjunction with Algo Studio Pro to work the setups automated. I can work the manual, but I'm very much thinking the best format to put this out would be some hands-on, hand-holding, 2.5 day in-person training events where, you get the tools. If you don't already have them, you get the templates and formal training on how to work the trade, whether you're doing it live or you're doing it automated with Algo Studio Pro or trading it manual. I'm going to show both approaches to it, working the trade setup, and I like that format. So maybe once a month or once every other month, I'll bring in 5, 6, 7 traders total and do live in-person event for about 2.5 days, half day on a Sunday and then a Monday and a Tuesday. So there you have it. Nice lift. I kind of expected some lift out of the open. I was confident of that. Seemed a little bit like a game move, like they're pulling it back on purpose to buy it lower, leading up to the U.S. Open. Not an uncommon game by institutionals in these markets. Okay, guys, there you have it. I'll put out a lot more details on the in-person live trading event format that I'm going to set up and get rolling already for April. I'll have my first group in April. Okay, talk to y'all later. Have a great day.